This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host my show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, my guest is Monnica. Are you there, Monnica?
Hi.
Hi. Okay. Now, let's get this out of the way. Often, people would label you as a psychic. Why do you prefer not to be called one?
Well, the work that I do, I'm an intuitive therapist, a numerologist, and a medium, which means I communicate with the other side. Numerology I use because it helps me plug into the person's vibration really fast.
Mm-hmm.
A psychic is a term from the past century. It's been overused, misunderstood, and it makes people feel like we've got some kind of power over them, and we don't. The word psychic means intuitive ability, so I would prefer to be called an intuitive therapist. Why? Because I look at the problem that a person is going through or a challenge. I see what they need to do to change it and give them a solution. So that's why it's called intuitive therapy. So it's solution-oriented. So I also make predictions, but I look at how they can turn their lives around. So it's really, really more effective. Nobody else that I know of is doing that. When you think of a psychic, you think of a person that just does predictions, or you think of a palm reader or whatever. I think those are all misconceptions, so I just chose to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a fair assessment. I'll do my best not to refer to you in that word.
Just call me Monnica.
Monica. I looked up your...
Monica with two N's.
Monica with two N's. Now, why don't you go ahead and give out your website?
Okay. It's Monnica.com, Monnica.com. And there's a lot of interactive things in there that you can use in order to advance your own spirituality. If you're stressed out, go to the Checkup from the Neck Up section. And just by being there for a few minutes, you can actually reduce your stress. There's a lot of things. There's some videos there that you can watch that you'll learn a lot. So it's very interactive. I designed the whole thing myself, and I wrote everything myself and then handed it to a web guy that was able to, create it and put it on the web. So it's really fun. And also, if people notice my menu, normally my half hours are like $350, and in March they drop to $150, but that's just for the month of March only. It's called March Madness because I must be crazy giving people a $200 discount, but oh well. I've done over 60,000 readings, and I've been doing this work for 43 years.
Now, when you also, this is one word that I'm familiar with it, but not totally familiar. It says here that you use neurolinguistics. Could you maybe explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I use it. I've studied many things and was certified in a lot of different things because I really choose to use a lot of tools in my work. Remember, it's solution-oriented counseling as well as predictions. So I have a lot of tools in my tool chest here that I can use to help people overcome phobias from their past. The neurolinguistics therapy has to do with rerouting the neurology in order to get rid of old habits, patterns, old memories. If a person was abused, they can get rid of it by using certain technology that's neurological. We reinstall information, kind of like back in the day when people bought records. If you put a scratch on the record, it would never play the same. So we're putting a scratch in the brain so that a person doesn't keep going back to their old behaviors. We're going to install new programming that way. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. So it's pretty interesting.
Now, it might have been, I'm trying to think if it was, when I research a guest, I like to look up things, and I listened to a couple of interviews that you gave, and it might have been you, it sounds like it was probably you, that you worked with Tony Robbins.
With putting what?
Tony Robbins.
Oh, Tony Robbins. I study neurolinguistics through him. Yes, and I did staff his events back in the sometimes in the late 80s, I think it was. I staffed his event because when you staff an event, you don't have to pay for the seminar. So I wanted to become an expert at neurolinguistics, and then I did study with him for 2 weeks in Palm Springs and got my certification that way.
Yeah, so it was you.
Yeah.
The homework. Yeah, it was. He is, very motivating. Very, he's an interesting guy. I didn't know he was born on leap year. I didn't know that.
Yeah, February 29th.
Yeah, but the thing is that I just what do you do to get into the mindset of what it is that you do?
Well, as a person that's intuitive, I'm using different set of rules. I receive it all intuitively. I'm also clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient, which means I hear, see, and feel. Excuse me.
So you do all these things.
Yeah, so what I do is I'm able to receive information from my own spirit guide, Gabrielle, who's been with me since I was 9, and I'm telepathically linked to her. We're on the same vibratorial frequency. She gives me information for my client or the person who calls in, and then I give them the information. I share it, but I mostly hear it. Then I get images and pictures, and then I get feelings like an empath. So, when I tune into a person's health, that's what I do. I don't do readings on the air, anything in the airways that has to do with health, because I don't have a license to prescribe or diagnose. I could get in trouble for that, so I just leave that out completely. But in a private reading, I do that.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Now let me ask you this. Are you in contact with Gabrielle constantly, or are you just in contact with her when you need her?
Well, Gabrielle's, I do readings every single day. So I would say I'm in contact with her every single day.
I mean, is she in contact? I'm not asking you for a reading, but is Gabrielle in contact with you right now?
If I'm going to do a reading, she'll show up, definitely.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not calling to her, I just go. Remember, I've done it like 60,000 readings, so it just automatically, she knows that when I've got a client on the other end, she shows up, and I'm able to hear information from her. So I don't receive the information from the person in front of me, because some people that come see me in person, they keep thinking that they have to be in front of me in order for me to pick up information about them. But I'm not picking up information from them. I'm picking it up about them.
Now, can you name an example where I'm sure this may have happened. You were talking to someone, not giving them a reading, not giving them anything like that, and then all of a sudden Gabrielle said something over your shoulder. Listen, you got to help them. Does that ever happen?
No. I do that anyway. That's my work. I know that they're there to see me for a reason, and I go through all of the areas in their life to see where they're having blocks. I'm not talking about
a situation where there was no reading. I'm just talking about like maybe someone needed help on the street or something.
No, I don't do that. I think that's an invasion. No, I'm not turned on all the time. I only use it when I'm actually doing this professionally. I don't walk around with it turned on all the time. I've got to be a normal person. So, sometimes it was difficult to date sometimes because some of these men would think that I was like, are you like tuning in on me? And I'm like, no, I get paid to do that work. And the only time I do it free is if someone's got a missing person, I don't benefit from loss, that's for sure.
I see what you're saying. I just didn't know. I mean, has Gabrielle ever appeared to you in a dream?
Gabrielle appeared to me when I was 11.
Oh, I know that, but I read that part. But I mean, has she appeared to you since then? Because I know she told you something about. I think someone appeared to you and said, "I see with the eyes of God" or something.
Yeah, she showed me how to heal my eyes because I'd had surgery. And so she appeared to me in person, and that's all I needed was that one time.
That's ironic because I had surgery on my eyes.
You did?
Yeah, it was actually I was born with crossed eyes.
Mhm. Yeah, I had a lazy eye. Mhm.
And what happened was that I had to go into surgery like when I was 6 months.
Mhm.
And because you know how babies, I don't know if you have any kids, but you know, babies is all babies have cross-eyed, but they're supposed to uncross. Well, mine never did.
Mhm.
Well, what happened was that I went in for the surgery, and it was just, oh God, it was really hard on my parents. I mean, can you imagine putting your 6-month-old son, you know, into surgery?
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
That's kind of scary.
It was very scary. So I mean, you know, but it was. But I guess what happened with you was that it was when did your parents know about Gabrielle or?
Yes, my mom was very supportive. My father was very skeptical, but as we started taking classes around 1969 and 70, as he was mocking us, we used to do things like, you know, at nighttime we would put thoughts in his head, like you are now open and receptive to new information, new spiritual information. And we used to read a lot of books back in the day because back then you didn't have computers. You had books, but they were hard to find. So we would actually highlight in red highlight ink because they didn't have pink or blue back then either. So we used to use yellow highlighter and then highlight the parts in the books that were really we thought were good for him. My dad was an avid reader. He would read 5 books a week. So we used to leave the books sitting on the coffee table, and little by little he started picking them up and reading the highlighted parts, which we did intentionally, and he started then taking classes with us.
It is hard. I mean, you know, some of this involves.
What's hard?
Huh?
What's hard?
Well, some people, you know, I think my belief is that this sort of thing involves dropping your guard a little bit. You have to sort of drop your guard to be open to this stuff.
Well, all it is your connection with your higher power. That's all it is. It's a spirituality. It's not religion. Spirituality is different from religion. Religion comes from doctrine. It comes from the Bible. It gives you certain information, but the Bible, quite frankly, it really contradicts itself. I know this because I'm an ordained minister, and I have been since 1972, so I know the Bible well. And there's some people that say, oh, you shouldn't be doing this kind of work because blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, it's like the nuns from the Catholic Church, you know, after they took one of my seminars, the Mother Superior came up to me and she said, you know, you superseded Catholicism and religion. You need to continue your spiritual journey and look at all different faiths, understand them, and continue on a spiritual path. So I did. I left the Catholic Church when I was 18. And I'm glad I did because I got to learn about all different faiths, and I realized the value that they all have. So what this is about is letting go of your left brain, which is a logical linear one, which keeps you imprisoned in information that can actually trigger negative emotions such as fear, worry, and self-doubt. There's plenty of that on the news. I don't watch the news, but I stay informed of what's happening and I don't react to it. I stay completely connected to my higher power, encased in a white light of protection, and I protect all the people, and I give thanks for the protection for my family, friends, pets, house, car, everything on a daily basis. So I stay in a calm state. When a person's anxious, they're living in the future. When they're depressed, they're living in the past. When they're at peace, they're living in the now. And now is all you have. You don't have the future yet, and the past is gone.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that the Catholic Church is more open to this than they let on? In other words, do you think that higher-ups are more like
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because the nuns told me, I had 3 nuns and a Mother Superior in my class, and they said, we know this information, but we're not allowed to talk about it. It was taken out of the book, the Bible. It was taken out of the Bible around the time of Rasputin, and then they created the King James Version, which is, there's a lot that's missing from there. And they took it out so that they didn't want people being in touch with their own intuition. They wanted, because people can keep you in prison, not behind bars, but with fear. So they create heaven and hell in order to scare the shit out of you. Oh, pardon me. In order to scare the crap out of you.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's a normal, I mean, you know, these things.
Okay, thanks. Anyway, in order to scare us, and that keeps us in prison because fear, worry, self-doubt, self-condemnation, or feelings of unworthiness doesn't allow us to access the right hemisphere of the brain, which is where intuition is. So,
you know, so you're saying what you believe is that hell is, you have a different concept of hell?
There is no such thing. Hell is on earth. It's not that I believe in something. I know it for sure because 3 of my family members have died and come back to life, and they were pronounced clinically dead. And also, my father died last year as well, and he's been around me quite a bit. I know that there's no such thing as a hell. It's in your head. It's what you create in your world. So
I bring that up.
You can be living. There's no such place that's logical. It's not a thing. It's not a place. When people cross over, they cross over to a place that's very loving and that heals them. And so we can live on hell on earth, however. We can create a misery, our lives is misery, a mess, or a masterpiece, because we have free will on in this planet. That's what it's about. It's free will and making the right choices. So people that make bad decisions for themselves usually suffer something called consequences or karma.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting because I'm getting ready to hopefully interview a guy named Carlton Pearson. You may not have heard of him. He was this minister who worked for Oral Roberts, and he, lost his congregation because he stopped believing in hell. And what he believed is that hell was here instead of some fiery place.
Yeah.
And the thing that I loved about his belief is that it kind of makes things, it takes away the fear associated with it. You know, it makes God into a more loving thing. I mean, yes, it's true.
But that's what God is. God is not a man. It's not a gender. God is just what, in fact, in the book of Genesis, God called itself the I am. So whatever words we put after the word I am is how we identify ourselves, and if they're negative, then that's who we are. If we say I am that I am, that means we're aligning ourselves to God or a higher power or the source or spirit or love. It is loving. It is not punishing. It doesn't judge. That's all BS. That all comes from religion. Religion is the reason why we've had wars, suffering, and torture. That's like the worst thing that could have ever happened to this planet is religion. Unfortunately, that's the case. It is the cause of all wars, and it still is. So what you want to do, because there's fanatics, you see, and so when you go back and study all of this, you realize that what I'm saying is absolutely a fact. So what happens is that people need a starting point somewhere because their parents maybe believed in such a thing, but more and more people are waking up to realize that really spirituality is the way to go. Spirituality can be summed up in a nutshell. It's loving others, treating others the way you want to be treated, and treating yourself the way you treat other people, which means coming from a place of love, respecting nature, not hunting and killing animals. They want to live too. You know what I mean? It's about respecting life, all life, and giving love, period. That's it. Simple.
I know. It's when you also mentioned that you tell people channel angels, not channel, maybe channel is a bad word. Channel's a bad
that's not the right word. That's okay. Go ahead.
That's fine. It was just I was trying to find the right word, and I chose a bad word.
No, it's not a bad word. It wasn't the right one.
Okay,
but it's not a bad one. And it's not a bad one. You're talking about people connecting with angels?
Contacting angels. Having angels come into their life the way that angels have come into yours. And you help people do that. What would you tell people?
Oh my gosh. You know what? There's so many books written about that. All you have to do, I really, really prefer to go to the archangels, St. Michael, St. Gabriel, which is the one that's with me, Raphael. There's a lot of saints also that people still like to pray to that come from religions because they also exist and can help us. St. Anthony finds missing things. St. Francis helps animals cross over. St. Jude is a miracle worker. So, I still stay connected with that because I know that they exist. Archangels are, Archangel Michael is really very powerful and really helps people help themselves. If you look it up, people can Google this information. Just type in the word archangels, and it comes up. That's the one beauty about, the Internet, which we didn't have back in the day, is you can find out answers quickly.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to TalkSpace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at TalkSpace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at TalkSpace.com.
Well, let's say you wanted to contact, maybe this will be a more specific question, contact Michael. How would you do that?
You ask for Michael to come with you. That's it.
No prayer, no.
No, there's no rituals in this. All you do is just put out the thought, I would like St. Michael to start working with me. And then, just think of that maybe once a day, and then all of a sudden you'll start. Michael comes to us, the way he shows himself to us is a very interesting way. He appears as an orb, and it's always blue. So you could be watching television, all of a sudden see this orb to your right or to your left, your peripheral, and if it's blue, that's Michael. He's made your connection, and that's how you know he's there.
Have you ever prayed to have, like, an angel protect someone else?
Have I ever prayed for what?
An angel to protect someone else?
Well, I don't ask angels to protect anybody. I ask my higher power, God, and I don't ask for that. I give thanks for it. Because prayer is not about asking for things. It's about giving thanks for things even before it happens. So, like, for instance, my niece was in 20 days, she was in ICU in Denver with a collapsed lung and pneumonia. And so I immediately, said, thank you for healing my niece, Julia. And I did that every day. And the doctors are absolutely amazed that she didn't need surgery. They were going to take half of her lung out, and she's actually recovered. They were blown away with her results yesterday. And so we know that prayer works, but we always pray with thanksgiving. So if a person needs more money, you don't say, oh, please, God, give me more money. What you do is thank you, God, for what I have already, for all the blessings I already have, my family, wife, husband, for my pets, for my home, my car, and thank you for more money that comes into my life this year. That's the way to pray. You pray with thanksgiving, and you're always grateful.
But, if you would say, what you're saying is that if you felt that you needed more money, then you would say, thanks for giving me the money, right? Or
thank you for increasing my wealth.
Okay, it's already happened.
Yes, because it is already a done deal on another dimension. You just want it to happen in this third dimension.
Okay.
Because nothing is kept from us. We separate ourselves from it. And we separate ourselves from God or higher power, whatever you want to call it. We separate ourselves from all our good, even prosperity, because we're thinking negative or don't feel deserving or criticize ourselves, self-loathing. That's all a form of self-abandonment. It's a form of self-abuse. Why do that? When a person's sitting in fear, fear, the opposite of fear is really, actually, the definition of fear is an absence of love. That's pretty big. When a person worries too much, that doesn't solve anything. And the opposite of worry is faith. So these are huge. That's why I said when a person starts to live a spiritual life, they start to get it.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that about fear. I have always believed that I show love by removing the fear in people's lives. Like, I stopped giving them things to worry about. It's sort of like, and that's funny that you say that, because I guess then I hit the real nail on the head of what love is, because I don't want people. See, the thing is, I can be a real eccentric person, socially eccentric, where I say things and then people agree with me like, God, he's strange. And I'm okay with being strange. What I don't like is scaring people, because I don't want to make this all about me, but like when you scare people, then they're more likely to be dishonest to you, and then it's like I don't want.
Well, I don't think like that. For me, when I talk to you, the first thing I get about you is that you give more than you let yourself receive, and you're too hard on yourself. So I think I would remove that if I were you. I would change that. Put yourself at the top of your priority list, and be a little nicer to yourself, because I think you do too much self-criticism. I really do.
It's interesting. I heard you say that to one of the radio people I interviewed.
Happens a lot.
What?
It happens all the time.
It's just that I don't know. I want to protect people.
Yeah, but you're not JC. It's not
Okay.
your job. It's not your job. You can give to people, but you can't put yourself last on your priority list. That's irresponsible. When you put yourself top at the priority list, then there's more of you to give. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So just make that shift. No big deal. A new choice.
Through neurolinguistics, huh?
I wouldn't even go into that. Just go into the truth about who you are. And like it says, know thyself, become thyself. We are love, so therefore become love. And start with yourself. And watch how it changes your entire life. It always does.
Do you feel, have you had any moments where, and by the way, I love your radio voice.
Oh, thank you.
I
don't.
Oh, and by the way, we have
I sound different to myself.
we have a caller. Can you want me to put this caller in the air?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Now I haven't. Oh wait, they hung up. But they hung up and they went away. But what I was going to say is
it's probably their cell phone, right? It always cuts out.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. They may call back or something. I don't know. But what I was going to say is that I am, have you had any, like, epiphany? Like, for instance, you seem to have a real set philosophy. Have you had any, like, moments where you had a philosophy and you realized, oh, my God, I didn't realize that? It changed.
Well, remember I've been doing this since I started at around 12 years old. I'm 62. So I've been at this a long time. I've had many epiphanies, but more than anything, I have a lot of miracles that happen. Because when I started saying, miracles, thank you for the miracles, I always say miracles are normal. In fact, when I send out an email, it's always signed with my name, and on the bottom it says,
the miracles are normal. I saw that,
yeah. The miracles, they're normal, yeah, because they are, and I have a lot of them. I have a lot of stuff that happens constantly, and just now when I got back from Europe in October, I had a lot of miracles happen there. And this is stuff that you can't even make up. It's so lengthy. Just to tell you the story, it takes at least an hour and a half to 2 hours to tell you all the different miracles that I had when I was there. And I think you can have them. I mean, things, since my dad passed. Okay, let me give you something that just happened to me last week, okay? This is it's really a trip. My dad's with me a lot since he's passed away. And, because he and I used to, like this kind of work. And so I was going to make some soup. It was called the meatball soup, and I needed an herb called mint. I went to the store to find it, but I couldn't. They moved it. You know how stores move their merchandise. So I was ready to walk out of produce. This lady that was near me, she goes, "Oh, my God." And I said, she goes, "Did you see that?" And I said, "What?" And she says, this bunch of herbs just threw itself at me. It just flew off the shelf, and it hit me. And she pointed to the floor where they ended up, which was farther away. Now, when something falls off a shelf, gravity pulls it straight down. But she said it flew out at her. And I said, well, that's where the herbs are. And she said, yeah. I said, they moved them. She goes, yeah, they did. They used to be where you were. And I dismissed them. I passed them up, didn't even see them. And I said, I'll bet you that's my father. I said, pick up the herbs and tell me if they're mint, because I have to buy mint today. And she picked them, and she goes, oh, my God. She goes, they're mint. So I said, okay, thanks, Dad.
Well, it was.
And she
let me
said,
tell you something
let me just finish the sentence.
Oh,
then she said to me, she goes, that's your dad? I said, yeah. I said, ever since he's passed away, I said, he's able to move things and do things and help me out and actually even save my life just a couple of weeks ago, which he did. And I said, so that's him. He's always, he wanted me to make sure I got all the ingredients, and you were standing in front of him. I needed to find out where they were. She was about 10 feet away from me, but she yelled it out. She goes, did you see that? And so she started laughing when I told her. She goes, it must be great to have your dad help you, with these things. Now, she wasn't skeptical or thought I was strange at all, because you have to understand, I live in a city, in a town, in a county that is very spiritual. It's Santa Cruz, California. And it's a very spiritual place, which is why I live here. I live by the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's something that usually doesn't happen that often, that something's thrown from a shelf. I just said, well, thank God you weren't in front of the tomato sauce or something, And then
But it's funny. I've read, now this is something that I've heard, that if you look at the clock and it's 11:11, that means that they are watching. That usually means that it's your father or something. Or if you see all ones all in a row. And this is an interesting story.
Well, let me tell you, I can tell you about 11:11 very quickly. I used to see 11:11 back in the 70s all the time, and there is a book called 11:11 that explains it to you. It tells you that you have a higher calling. As a numerologist, I understand what 11:11 means. And
really?
it's a number of inspiration. And when you see the 11:11, it actually totals to a 22-4, which means the master builder. So it tells you that you have a special calling in this lifetime that you need to follow through with, and I did.
Well, it's interesting. I did a numerological reading of my full name, and the thing is at birth. My full name at birth was Jonathan Rafael Gutierrez. And It came out I forgot. It was either the name at birth or the name I have now, and it came out to 111.
Which is a 3.
But yes, 111.
It totals a 3.
Yes. Huh?
In numerology, you always take double digits or triple digits, and you total them
I know.
to get a single one. So that's
And I didn't know what that meant, and
I do.
That's a big deal.
The 3 is the number of communications, which is why you're doing the kind of work you're doing. It's the number of the person that's able to teach, communicate. They get on radio. They can write. They're also very creative. They can do creative things such as either sing or paint, art or write, or communicate well, and that's what you're doing.
So that's even if I change the name, it's still the same meaning, right?
No, if you change your name, you're going to get a slight, effect of it, but it's always based on the name that's on the birth certificate.
That's what I thought,
And then also your birth date, you can't change your birth date either. So there's, like my birthday totals to a 3, which is why
my birthday totals up to a 7. It's May 28th, 1972.
Yeah, a 7 means that you're here on a spiritual path, that you're needing to understand these things, which is why you're inquisitive, why you're interviewing me.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I feel that what I was going to say is, like, one time I was interviewing this lady who was, I think, she was, what I told her, she was a model, so I told her for her safety to block the number when she called in. And, but what happened was that sometimes when you block a number, this is what happens. Well, I'll explain it to you in a minute. She was telling me, my mom, she goes, she appears to me in a vision, and it's all one, and it's all one. And I looked down, because what happened was when she called in to the show, she blocked her number to be safe. And when you block a number, guess what happens? It's a series of ones.
Okay.
I was like, and I just was like, Terry? She goes, yes. Terry, do you remember what happened when you called in?
Yeah. So does the number 1 come up for you a lot?
Well, it doesn't come up for you a lot, but what I'm saying is that it was just like a while ago, it was 5:55. I'm not sure what that means, but
5 is a number of change.
Yeah, but that's what it came up when But
here's the thing. When you have a guest on your show, always call them so you don't have to go through this hassle.
I know. Okay, now we have a few seconds left. Do you want to give your website again?
Oh, yeah. It's Monnica.com, Monnica.com. Go there. If you don't believe in this work at all, I don't care. For me, my website is very interactive. There's a lot of things you can do. You can take lessons. There's one section called the Spirit Science Videos. Spirit Science Videos. And they're each about 8 minutes long, and they're all animated. But they teach you lessons, and it's wonderful. It's a lot of fun to watch one a day.
All right.
All kinds of things. Plus my television show on thepeoplesvoice.tv. I'm on every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and I'm on for 2 hours, and I teach a lot of lessons on that website. So just go to thepeoplesvoice.tv, all one word, and click on Watch Now. And you're, 3 hours behind me? You're ahead of me, right?
Yes, I'm on
Eastern time? Okay,
yeah.
So that would be 4 o'clock your time, from 4 to 6. And if if a person misses one of my shows, they can just go to the YouTube, because my shows are also on YouTube. Just go to The People's Voice, and the name of my show is Right Brain Thinking in a Left Brain World.
Okay. Well, thank you. It was nice to interview you. Right?
Oh, that went so fast.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm not a premium member yet. So when you get a job, I'm going to make the interviews longer.
Okay, well, visualize that happening this year, and it will, right?
What?
I said visualize that happening this year, and it will.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Take care, hon. Thanks. Bye.